Student-centered versus teacher-centered philosophies. Hello. So, in our text, I was able to read about the different philosophies that fall under student-centered and teacher-centered to help determine my own philosophy for education. So, let's start with the basics. Student-centered versus teacher-centered. Okay, so for teacher-centered, we have essentialism, behaviorism, and positivism. For student-centered, we have progressivism, humanism, and constructivism. Let's go over the main factors in each. Essentialism. The teacher is the authority figure. There are lectures, required readings. There are classroom rules that are set at the very beginning. Learning is innately motivating. The focus is on core content and skills. The classroom is organized for focused learning. The classroom is busy and focused. This reminds me more of the classrooms where I grew up, where there were lectures and required readings. Okay, behaviorism. Program learning based on content that is carefully developed. The classroom is task-oriented with a focus on proper behaviors. Behavioral objectives, positive reinforcement, teacher-controlled environment. There are clear expectations that are set for the students. This sounds more so like my elementary classrooms. Again, these are the teacher-centered philosophies. So my elementary classroom, of course, your behavior was definitely a focal point. You received awards or different rewards based on how you behaved daily. Positivism. The focus is on observation and measurement. Direct instruction is valued as efficient. Indirect instruction is used when needed. The classroom has many learning materials for student use. Learning is precise with emphasis on logical reasoning. There are clear expectations that are set for your logical behavior. Learners are again innately interested, and it's a classroom of inquiry. Now moving on to the student-centered philosophies. Progressivism, problem solving is emphasized. There's pupil-teacher planning. So some of the activities the teachers and students actually come together to plan, which I think is really neat. Learner-centered questions and problems. The learners are innately motivated by solving problems. The learning is focused on responsibility to improve society. Students recognize that everything we do affects others. It's a very democratic decision-making environment. This sounds more like maybe a situation of growing up. I probably would say debate team was more geared towards progressivism, but to have a classroom where you are able to focus on learner-centered questions and problems, I like it a lot. Next, humanism emphasizes instruction and assessment based on student interest. Student interests flow all throughout these philosophies, which I think is a plus. Environment of empathy and caring. Learners develop the classroom layout. I really like that. Personalized education. Teacher translates the required content into the language of learners. So again, you will cover the TEKS, but the teacher will work from the side of how will my students relate to this content or to this lesson. Constructivism. This is the one that I really lean towards the constructivism philosophy. Emphasis on developing personal meaning through hands-on activity-based teaching and learning. Critical thinking and understanding of big ideas encouraged. Discussion of different points of view is encouraged. I like the discussion element of this philosophy. Students are allowed to investigate individual topics based on their own interests. I really like that because I feel like the students will be motivated more so when they have topics that they're interested in to focus on. Problem-based learning. Students are enthused by the opportunity to create personal meaning. It again is an environment of caring, and student work is displayed everywhere. I like this because I feel like with student work around the room, it makes the room belong to the students. They can claim ownership over it, and it just shows their progress, student progress. So I really like this one. I also like the discussion element of constructivism. All right, so those are the main points of the student-centered versus teacher-centered philosophies. So let's see actually how that influenced my own educational philosophy. Okay, so looking at my philosophy of education, after reading that portion of the text, I came up with a few things that I wanted to see in my classroom. For the learning, I again like constructivist theory. I like the idea of student-centered classrooms, and where both of us are learning, because I feel like I'm always learning new things, and of course my students will be too. So as I learn new things, I'll incorporate them into the learning, and they'll be learning new things daily. I love that. Students will, of course, use critical thinking while developing personal meaning. That will be a big part of my classroom, the critical thinking. I like that students will work in groups and collaborate together. Again, my classroom organization will lean towards that. I want it to be an open space where students can gather together in small groups and be free and feel free to move around while they're working on various projects and collaborating with their classmates. The learning materials will be there and available to them, which that kind of sounds like one of the teacher-centered philosophies. So I think a lot of times these philosophies sometimes can cross or intermingle with some of their thinking. Okay, the teaching style, I am more of a facilitator. I like for students to collaborate, work in groups. I like discussions. I'm really not a lecturer. I don't like to just stand and talk. All right. The problem-based learning, again, is a big factor. Discussions are definitely encouraged for students to be able to express their different viewpoints on various topics. Essays will be a big part of my class. I'm wanting and looking forward to teaching English language arts and reading. So again, maybe they're doing a compare contrast essay or argumentative essay. They will be able to work in small groups as they work through their outline and their rough drafts. And I think it's great because that way they're able to think critically as they come up with their different viewpoints and research to come up with those essays and ideas. Motivation. All right, so again, student-centered is where I am most comfortable with progressivism, humanism, and constructivism. Students are basically motivated because these are things that interest them. They're given choices. They're given opportunities to put their own viewpoint and their own desire of what interests them into the class and what we study and work on daily. Of course, within the content and of course it will line up with the TEKS. Students, of course, they'll be more enthusiastic because they're creating personal meaning while they're, investigating the topics that they're interested in. Overall, I want my classroom to have a safe and caring feel to it. I want students to feel safe in that their viewpoints will be listened to, respected, and people will learn from each other because of that element of respect and care. And I also want to foster an environment where people work together, where we're able to have discussions and actually learn in a respectful manner. I want the students and teachers to have respect and mutual respect on both ends for the classroom and just the environment overall for the school. I think that would be appreciated, and I want it to be expected. Cultural diversity will definitely be celebrated in the classroom. We'll learn from each other, learn about our different cultures, and bring that into the classroom again, which will help to establish rapport, which will build throughout the year and help to maintain the positive and comfortable environment that I hope to foster for teaching and learning. So that is basically all I have for today with regards to student-centered and teacher-centered values and viewpoints, and how it helped me develop my educational philosophy. So with that, I can definitely say I am team student-centered. Okay, thank you.